Flow Affair comes to a screen near you next month. Now, this new documentary is about the history and revival of flag dancing and was actually created to encourage HIV education, as AIDS had almost wiped out the flagging community during the 1980s. We're going to be joined by the filmmakers to explain why this art form is now saving lives. Flow Affair. It's a brand new documentary film about the history and revival of flag dancing. It's being screened at church and other healing centers across America, and it hits Philadelphia on December the 9th. Now, the film was partly created to encourage HIV education, as AIDS almost wiped out the flagging community during the 1980s, according to activists. And of course, tomorrow is World AIDS Day. Now, just take a listen to this rather fabulous trailer.
I've flagged out on the beach in Provincetown to just the sound of the surf and the wind. That is a lovely feeling.
Flagging allows for great self-expression.
Flaggers spent 4 or 5 hours on the dance floor.
That is the best flagging I have ever seen.
You're performing in front, you galvanize the energy on the dance floor.
Let yourself loose and go with the music.
You are the shaman. You are helping the tribe centralize and synchronize to the music.
Growing up gay, we're not allowed to be soft and be tender.
Takes a lot of balls.
It's almost like another family.
My mom has a little nickname from her friends.
What's that?
The Angry Lesbian.
Well, I've been HIV positive, and there were a number of years that I never thought I was going to live to be 40. Here I was in the Gay Pride Parade, 40 years old. I was flagging on that float, going down Fifth Avenue with the people just screaming. I felt so alive, and so full of hope.
You check your ego at the door. You check your problems at the door.
What are you doing, and what's your name, and can I have your phone number? And
The craziness and the drugs and the fantasy.
they just wanted to keep going and going and going.
Hey, let's go to Times Square and flag out on the island.
It's very inspirational. It brings a tear to my eye.
Well, give him a round of applause. He was flowing, honey.
He was flowing, honey. Now, the film features Melba Moore, Tony Award-winning performer who sings her hit "Been There, Done That." Flow Affair, which includes flag dancing and flogers. And flogers it's a combination of flagging and Vogue dancing. And I guess most people really remember voguing from Madonna's video, but we all know that it originated from the LGBTQ community, and Miss Moore contributed the dance single "Been There, Done That" to the film. Now, joining me now to talk about Flow Affair is Wolfgang Busch, who's the director of the film, also a community organizer and an activist, resident right here in the city, and Brad Carpenter, who is one of the featured dancers in the documentary. Good morning to you both. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Esther.
Thank you. So, Brad, let me start with you. So, first of all, the trailer is just fabulous, and the dancing is extraordinary. Talk about how you got turned on to flag dancing and flogging.
Well, I was actually in Provincetown for July 4th, and I went up to one of the flaggers on stage. You know, typically at a party like that, there'll be, flaggers either on stage or off in the perimeter and whatever, and I had seen it before, but this was the first time that I actually went up to a flagger and said, "Hey, how do you do that? Can I hold a set of flags?" And he handed me a pair of flags and then showed me that first movement, and it just felt so fantastic. And actually, that's something in the flag community that is referred to as the asking and receiving of the gift. It's like that person became my flag daddy in that moment, which is part of the tradition, because you traditionally pass on this craft, one-on-one to somebody else, and I was just sort of drawn to it, and really once I started, it just became a part of me. It was.
But does your flagging have swag? That's what I want to know.
Does my flagging have swag?
Yes. How long have you been doing it, Brad?
I've been flagging for about 15 years.
Wow.
So it's been a part of me for a while.
It's very intricate. Does it are there particular materials? What are the kind of the things that you really need, your tools, and how does it change as you become more advanced?
Well, they're basic. The construction of the flags at their essence is very basic. They're rectangles with curtain weight or some type of weight sewed into the seams about 2/3 across the top and about halfway across the front, the short side of the rectangle, and a little extra at the corner. And that's it. When you're moving them through the air, the centripetal force pulls open the fabric, and you're making these loops and unloops in this very flow kind of movement. And it feels incredible when you're moving with that kind of flow and circling around your body and the fabric opening up around you. You're like at the center of a little swirl of fabric or like a little flower of fabric. And it's very kinetic. It can be also very peaceful. It feels incredible, and you're essentially taking your own energy and just extending it through the flags. So suddenly your presence becomes that much bigger, and your energy becomes that much bigger.
And certainly when you watch it, it's almost hypnotic, but it's definitely spiritual. You definitely feel that. So, Wolfgang, talk about how the film came to be. What was the kind of the vision for it for you?
The vision became, I was born and raised in Germany, and I saw the respect the artists had in Germany, and when I came over to this country, I kind of felt a lot of disrespect and exploitation in the artistic community in general. So instead of going into the corporate world and work for them, I decided we got so much talent in the gay community. Why don't I try and set up some kind of artistic infrastructure and help us to empower us artistically and financially? And that was like my motivation, and that's how I became an activist when I worked at the Musicians Union, and I saw and I organized workshops and seminars and started educating the artistic community, and that became my motivation.
And you know what's so extraordinary about it is you watch this family that's being created in pursuit of this beautiful physical spiritual dance. It's like a kind of a conversation with the creator and the earth and your body and your soul all in this same space. So I'm wondering, Wolfgang, as you got to know the dancers and the community, what you learned about the community, what was important to convey on the film.
It's really translating their life and their arts and translate into a visual audio format and using the DVD as a tool and to get the best performances and get the best interviews is my job and record it and put it in perspective. So when we tell our oral history, it's correct, and that takes a long time. It took me almost 9 years to complete this project.
Wow, 9 years. And Brad, I'm wondering, as you learned to dance, became more proficient as a dancer, what you learned about the dance floor roots among the LGBTQ community when it comes to flagging and flogging.
Well, it basically does come from the dance floor, and there's a lot of theories about how the very first movements were, but anything from wet T-shirts to quarters sewn into handkerchiefs. Fans were becoming used where they would take the paper fans and then rebuild them with fabric. But it really extends to the gay liberation movement and as an expression of pure joy on the dance floor. So whenever I flag, there's an awareness in me that this is something that extends. It's an art form from the gay community that really extends to some of our earliest expression as a group, and the tribal aspects of that as well.
Yeah, and then certainly when you watch the trailer, you hear one of the dancers, who's also an activist, talk about the need to just express a joy and a peace. And certainly being LGBTQ in the 80s was a very different space than it is right now.
Yes.
Very different environment. So I wonder if you could talk about the way the dance has really helped create an education about the community as well.
Well, whenever you're flagging, as you can see, it's like you and George says this in there too. You actually become a living spectacle of sorts. You're bigger than life, and people are drawn to it. And almost any time I flag in a more public situation that's not just in a gay dance community, people will always be, "What is that?" And I'll talk about the roots. It extends awareness just by being such a visual, spiritual form.
And it's fly. That's the point. It's fly.
Exactly. Yes.
And so, Wolfgang, you said this film took you 9 years. I imagine going through such a profound experience that those types of films must be transformative for you as a filmmaker. How did it change your experience within the gay community? I know that you're an openly gay documentarian, and over 9 years, that was a different landscape in terms of the LGBTQ community than it was by the time you finished the film.
It's not really so much changing. It's more of a learning curve. And my first documentary, How Do I Look About the Voguing Community, took me 15 years. And you at some point see similarities, how communities work, especially artistic communities and their sensitivities and their needs. And what impressed me the most with the flagging community was when we had our screening in San Francisco, and after the screening, this one flagger came up to me and said, "Wolfgang, I have to tell you a story." And he said, "I was in trouble with the law, I was using drugs, and then I discovered flagging, and it changed my life completely. I'm a happy person now." And he just wanted me to tell his story, and I was so touched by that. And that's like an example how healing and how life-changing flagging has been to people. And that's a wonderful experience.
That's pretty extraordinary. So somebody, if you're not from the LGBT community like me, I'm thinking, if I wanted to learn how to flag, are there flagging classes or anything like that now as a result of the phenomena that it's become? Brad?
Well, we've done classes at New York Sports. We've done master classes. There are actually instructional videos that are how-to videos that we're extending to people as a way to learn how to flag. It's not a profit-making venture at this point. It's really just getting the technique out there.
Right.
I guess if you have listeners who would like these videos, we can provide them we will have to find, I guess, a proper link for that. But it's something that you can also, there's group flagging that happens at Central Park on certain days. The community does try and gather, and people will show you how to flag. The basics you can begin to learn right away. It'll feel good right away. It's not as complicated to learn as it first appears.
Yeah, it's just complicated to develop your swag. That's the thing. I really want to learn. That's
swag takes a little extra.
I really want to learn how to flag. I think I might come down and check out one of the group sessions down at Central Park. It looks like it really does great work for your arms and for your core, because everybody's core is so long and lean and straight, and you're in this permanent motion. You know what it reminds me of? Tai Chi, you're in motion and moving your energy, but you have material in your hand. So you're adding this kind of extra weight. So it's a more spiritual form of exercise. Of course, Tai Chi is spiritual as well.
You're exactly right. The weight actually helps pull that movement right out of you in a very easygoing way. It's very therapeutic.
Yeah, we should start a movement. Let's get flagging. Yes. Brad Carpenter, featured dancer on Flow Affair, and the film's director, Wolfgang Busch. The film has been playing in church and healing centers across America. It hits Philadelphia on December 9th. Really, the trailer alone makes you want to know more about it and the importance. And, of course, the fact that it contributes to a community that was so devastated by AIDS these 20, 30 years later is a powerful symbol of the power of art to empower communities. Brad and Wolfgang, thank you both so much. Thank you.
We also have a website. I don't know if you have time to mention that. It's
just go ahead.
flowaffair.org. Flowaffair.org.
Flowaffair, www.flowaffair, all one word, .org. Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you. Thank you. That brings us to the end of this morning's